Welcome to Honest Car Reviews. My name is Eric, and this week I have the keys to the future. This is the Hyundai Nexo. It is powered by hydrogen. And what is hydrogen? Well, it is found in the nature. Hydrogen is composed by hydrogen. It's a basic atomic element, and it is H. And together with oxygen you get water. So this car only produces water. That's the byproduct. This doesn't produce carbon dioxide, none of that nasty stuff. So on paper, this is a solution that every car should have, because it doesn't exert carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide and things like that. However, it is a complicated technology, and to make it a reality there has been some really smart engineering from Hyundai's engineers. And in this review I'm going to find out if this car is ready for the real world. And let's start with the exterior, of course. So, as you can see, the exterior reminds quite a lot of the Hyundai Kona, and it is actually very close to one of the concept cars that Hyundai showed not too long ago. This matte grey paint is also very unique. Don't forget, this car as a base price is 85,000 euros. You heard that right. A Hyundai for 85,000 euros. So, not only do we need to ask ourselves in this review, is the hydrogen ready for the real world market? And is this Nexo worth 85,000 euros? Continue with the exterior and you will see retractable door handles, and these are of course to improve aerodynamics, but you also have slots here to also improve aerodynamics. There's however one problem. Because of these openings, there's a lot of air that traps here, which means that there's a lot of dirt trapping on the sides, which means that, as you can see, it gets dirty. The rear window scraper only goes from here to here, so there's a lot of dirty areas at the rear glass. And I have to say, the back part of the car is the car's not so beautiful part. It is rather big, chunky, and doesn't go so well together with the pretty nice front. It is overly big, and I don't quite enjoy like this rear part. But of course, the exterior is always subjective. You also have some aerodynamic rims, which of course, I mean, this entire car is made to be as aerodynamic as possible, considering it's a crossover. It's almost an SUV because it's quite a big car. As you can see, you have of course 4 doors, and because I have a key, if I touch the door handles, they will open. I can fit really comfortably in the rear. And I can also show you I have a lot of foot space, and that's an important thing, because everyone talks about knee space, of course, but having these extra centimeters, I mean 5-10 centimeters of foot space really helps enhance the dimensions of the car. It feels pretty big, but driving it doesn't feel as big as you would imagine. So the hydrogen, it's a bit complicated because you have hydrogen tanks which are in carbon fiber. There are 3 of them, and they start around here. So there are 3 of them going forward, and they are in carbon fiber, and they are really thick, and they are made to withstand, to hold when there's a crash. So everyone says that hydrogen, it's a bomb, it can explode. Well, technically yes, but you can always engineer to ultimate safety. And when you think of petrol and you have a petrol tank which is highly flammable, the concept of having hydrogen in your engine or in your car doesn't feel that odd. Best part of the exterior is what I think, this front lights line here in the middle. I really like it, and it really helps bring some style to the front, and especially the hood has some really cool creases. And if you look from this angle, it looks kind of cool, doesn't it? At least according to me. So we'll go into the car now. And this is some bio-friendly fabric plus fake leather, which, if I'm honest, I understand that it's all about being environmentally friendly, but if you pay 85,000 euros, then you need a high level of luxury as well. And when you get inside, you have white, beige, gray and aluminium metallic. And one thing is for sure certain, this material here looks like it belongs at a hospital or at a prison. It doesn't look nice. However, this interior styling I really like. This brings back some old memories of all the cars with really rectangular and straight and angular buttons, but also being futuristic. So this is the entire control panel, so to speak. You're controlling your ship. You have one infotainment screen and one gauge cluster. And the gauge cluster is quite small, of 9 inches. The infotainment screen is around 12 inches. And then you have the steering wheel, which is really unique compared to other Hyundais. And I'll start the car now, or show you what happens. And you get the very standard sound when you start a Hyundai. And here is what happens when you start it, of course. And you control the infotainment system with this button here, which you can use from left to right. And you have the home button, you have the menu button, and you have back. So I can press in, but I can go back. So to enter some of these, you press in and then you press out, back. So there's a lot of technology, a lot of information that can be found from the infotainment system. Personally, I only use the navigation and the media, because the home button here is all that you need according to me. Because you have your navigation, you have your range information, but you also have that range number here. So you can also use this gauge cluster for all of your daily needs. Some options which comes as standard, but also some options that come as non-standard, which makes the step above the base model Nexo, it costs 2,000 euros more. So with the extra option, you get some really nice speaker system from Krell. You have a panoramic sunroof, and that's about it. But I need to go through because there's so many things about this car. It's jam-packed with technology. You get steering warmer, which actually it warms on the outside, so the inside is cold for the most part. You never have time to warm up. And you have quite a nice feature, which is automatic parking. And I know there have been automatic parking in other cars for a long time, but this button makes it able to go out of the car and press this button or this button. It depends on if you want to have the nose or the rear pointing out from the parking spot. So this car will park itself even if you're outside of the car, and that's quite a cool gimmick which Tesla had for some time, but now Hyundai is coming for them. Sometimes it's a bit temperamental and it doesn't work in all areas because it measures the distance between the cars. It doesn't measure the lines. So if there's no cars to park between, the system can be a bit nervous. You have different driving modes. This is the Eco. By pressing driving mode one time, you have normal. By holding in the drive mode, you get Eco Plus, and then you hear the AC close down. So this is the most economical modes, of course. You have 360-degree camera all around, so which makes it really easy when you park. And you have, of course, sensors. They are a bit so and so because when I park at my home, there's a charging box which is on a stick just in front of the parking spot, and the sensors doesn't register that, which is a bit bad, I have to say. The power is sent through the front wheels, which means that you don't have any gearbox and nor transfer case tunnel or anything, so you have a lot of space. And underneath you have space for putting your phone and your keys, your wallet, everything. And you also have wireless charging and USB, all the old USB charging cable. I don't know if you have the USB-C charging cable, unfortunately. This little holder also have the USB cable, and for me, I love to put the key at this little holding. You also have a handrest, which is quite deep, so you can store quite a lot in this car actually, even though it seems pretty cramped. One thing that I have mentioned is the rear luggage space. It is 461 liters, and I will go back one more time because I have to show you. Because of the tanks, you have an electrically operated tailgate. It is really high up. This is thick, so storing things, this is not very high up. It's really difficult to store even the most common grocery bags. But you can always fold down the rear seats, but the lack of space in the rear is pretty evident from this hydrogen car compared to... Okay, so I pressed this but it doesn't work. Okay. And getting the things out and into the car will be a bit difficult because it's so high up. Can actually start driving by pressing the drive. You have parking, neutral and reverse, and then the parking brake is down here. And there you can hear that the door handles went into the car. And the powertrain has a total output of 163 horsepower and just under 400 newton meters of torque, which means that it's actually quite peppy. It is, you can feel the acceleration at almost any speed that you're in. So I start from 0 and I accelerate to 70. And it goes. It's not the quickest car by any means, but the torque really helps liven up some things. It doesn't feel sluggish, which I was afraid about. I mean, a big car in a hydrogen, new technology, no problem. It is peppy. It's actually from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. It does it in 9.7 seconds, I think, just under 10 seconds. As you may have noticed, I have set the car in cruise control, and it works really simple. You have the different modes by pressing this button here. So I have the active cruise control, so it will gauge if there's any car in front of me, and if the car is driving slower than me, the car will slow down. And it also have a lot of safety features, such as the lane departure assist. So if I'm starting to go close to the side here, nothing happened. Pretty weird. I will try again and see if the system really works, because it has done it before. So you can see here, here's the green, which means that this system is active. So we'll try now. And you can hear it warns, and you can see you have a green steering wheel icon as well, and that means that it also tries to, you can see the steering wheel trying to be within the lines. You can see here, and it actually does a tremendous job. I was really surprised by that. We have to talk about some of the common questions that come up when you have a hydrogen powered car or an electric powered car, because this car is a hydrogen powered car, but it uses an electric engine, and it has an electric battery, which is really small. It only holds just over 1 kilowatt hours of power, but it's used mainly for latency. If there's need for a big surge in power, it has some electricity stored to help. Hyundai claims 660 kilometers. I fueled this car up just recently, and I will talk about the refueling situation experience just after this. And now I have 528 kilometers of range, and as an average, I have been around 1 kilogram of hydrogen per 100 kilometers for as long as I can remember, on some lower speed highway roads where it's like 80 kilometers an hour. I have gone down to 0.7, 0.8 when I'm in the Eco Plus mode, and then it might go up a bit, but I have never had over 600 kilometers of range. So in real world, the maximum range is about 550, I would say. But 550 kilometers of range is plenty for the majority of people. You can go almost from Stockholm to south of Sweden. The problem with this range, you can hear some stuff going in the rear, but the problem with the hydrogen is the infrastructure. And what do I mean by that? The amount of fueling stations. In Stockholm, which is Swedish capital, there's one, and it's not even close to the city. It is in Arlanda, which is about 50 kilometers away. Yeah, you heard me right, 50 kilometers away. You have a total of 3 hydrogen stations in Sweden in total. That's unacceptable for a car. If you live in these areas, of course it works, but having to drive to Arlanda every time you need to fuel up, that's not a solution that will hold for the future. Speaking of the fueling stations, I just fueled up, and it is actually quite simple. You put in your credit card, you take out the nozzle which you put into the the car, and then you just have a little button that you press on the green on the machine, the fueling machine, and then the pressure needs to build to be able to push in the hydrogen into the car, and it should take around 5 minutes. However, when I was there, some error occurred, so I had to do the procedure one more time, because I called the providers of this hydrogen machine, the one that owns it and services, and they say because not so many people go there and fuel up, it is cold, it's not active, and sometimes because of this it's not as reliable as it could be. But on the second try it worked fine. However, I noticed that it's never fuels up completely. I always have, as you can see now, 1 bar left of fuel to get in. That has happened every time that I charge the hydrogen system, and it can be a bit of a nuisance that you can't fuel up completely. But going from 0 to almost 600 kilometers of range in 5 minutes, I mean, it takes more under that almost. It works completely fine. It beats the electric charging system by miles, even though the Achilles heel is the technology and how unreliable it is as of now. Because I was frustrated, I couldn't get the nozzle out when I had charged. I didn't know what happened, it just stopped charging on the first time. I mean, so many small nuisances that just made me really frustrated. So this car is basically a hydrogen car, but with battery layout underneath. Feels like driving an electric car. But sometimes when you accelerate, you have a surge of some fluid or gas that sounds different than compared to anything that I've heard before, and that's quite cool and quite different. I wouldn't choose this color. There's also blue or darker color for the interior. So what are my final thoughts for the Hyundai Nexo? Well, it is big, it's spacious, it's a well implementation of the hydrogen technology. It has good range and it's comfortable, and the technology regarding safety is also very well implemented. However, some of the exterior design features and interior design features are flat out nasty. The problem also comes with the hydrogen technology. There is so few fueling stations right now that there's no possible way for a buyer in the northern part of Sweden to buy this car. The next step for this car is the infrastructure, and with infrastructure you need funding, you need companies that are interested in investing in this system. And as I found out, BMW is investing in this system, and I've also heard that Audi is maybe doing this. Toyota has also been investing with their hydrogen powered car, the Mirai, and they're also coming with the update of the Mirai, which can be a real competitor to the Nexo. So as I think the same with the electric car, hydrogen power is coming on the rise. The problem is, the task is to get the prices down to acceptable level, and a design language that is unique to a hydrogen powered car, but also makes it attractive to buy compared to the petrol powered and electric powered cars. My name is Eric, and this was my review for the Hyundai Nexo.